So, what do when you have so many gifts and interests that the matrix thinks are totally unrelated? Like, how do you bring these together, right? Because if you do focus on them all, if you do pursue them all, then don't you look unfocused? Or if you develop all of your gifts and interests because you're honoring your own authenticity, don't you risk becoming a jack of all trades? Or maybe someone threatened you with the label of dilettante. You guys, this is the old paradigm at this point. This is a pre AI approach to knowledge production and making an impact. Many of the problems that we're facing now in the world are actually the result of the risks and consequences of extremes in over specialization. And many of these trajectories are accelerating. The new AI tools that we have, many of them are playing right into this acceleration down these hyper specific tunnels of thoughts, assumptions, and frameworks. And as a gifted empath, we need your abilities in mindful integration now more than ever. This is an excellent time to bring together these kinds of interests in the relations that you specifically can see that others can't. This is actually now your gift. This is a contribution you can make because this is the work of integration that isn't going to happen any other way. So, unless you're seeing it critically, which means through the eyes of its proper historicity and its trajectory, AI driven paradigms are really an acceleration of existing materialist frameworks and biases. And the effect of this is going to be that it will lead many people down a path of further fragmentation and density. Now, if you want to know what I mean by this, check out some of the other videos I've done, scan the titles, because I've talked on many different aspects, especially materialism and the fragmentation of consciousness. So we're at a point now where we can consider any examples of bringing together so-called unrelated things as a form of enlightened activism. Because putting these things back into relation is the opposite of using them as a functional piece, like a loop in kind of like economic programming, basically, where the result is just it's an instrumental achievement of a specific economic goal or outcome. And the AI driven paradigm exactly plays into all of that. It's a control based paradigm, its roots are in cybernetics. So if you know that history, control is another way of talking about it. So if you have a vision for creating, for example, a virtual butterfly museum, and you want to bring in talks from various conservationists, but you're also like a big electronics nerd and you want to teach people how to build their own mini solar panels, for example, you should absolutely do both. You can do both. And even if you don't already see any explicit connection between these different projects, as you move further on your path and develop these, you will begin to receive further ideas and even unexpected opportunities, which will synchronistically work in your favor for bringing together the intrinsic connections that are already there, but which only you can access because you have already this holographic relationship to these areas. Now, the reason this is so important is that now, when others find and engage with your work, they will also be able to make these connections, and it's going to trigger their own memory and awakening, so to speak, because we're all part of this so-called holographic field, and this will activate their own relationship with that. So the snippet of awareness that they experience is going to be connected to the whole of everything that they already do know and know that they planned to do here. Now, many people have discussed this from different aspects using different concepts. For example, the physicist David Bohm back in the 80s talked about this as the implicate order. And regardless of how we further refine our understanding of what we're going to call this and the mechanisms involved, how it works, the fact is that this is how it works. It's a very effective metaphor. So let me know what you're struggling with and what you're struggling with trying to bring together, what feels conflicted for you, because this is exactly the work of integration that only you can do. You already have an implicate connection. They are already implicitly connected in a way that only you can deliver, so to speak, for other people. Also, age is another concept that completely belongs to the matrix. I discussed this in one of my other videos on the matrix. So completely forget about thinking like maybe it's too late or people my age don't do this, that kind of thing. This is about the contribution that you can make, and from the perspective of your higher holographic understanding, this question of time is really quite limited, and I don't use the concept of illusory in a sense because it's not quite accurate, but we're just living one specific projection of this. So age in that sense, you can see why it's just pertains more to the 3D matrix, which is the projection that we're currently experiencing. So finally, if you're at all worried about what they might think if you follow up on your intuition here or develop these projects, I made a free self-paced email course that is designed just for this kind of problem, and it will help you move through these types of blocks so that you can really reorient yourself and like reclaim a sense of your own authority and your own sense of permission, giving yourself permission, self-validation, and the reasons why that's all you need. So you can grab that in the links below. So drop any questions you have in the comments and let's get this ball rolling.